The BBC revealed today that reports of sexual assaults and harassment on trains have gone up by more than a third over the past 10 years. 1 out of every 10 incidents reported also involved a child, with some victims as young as just 13. One woman interviewed by the broadcaster said, "You're on a train. You can't go anywhere. You can't escape." So do you think that female-only train carriages could be a way to solve this crisis? And would you feel safer travelling if you knew that at least they existed as an option? And Penny, you've already talked about being very candid in your book about being sexually assaulted. I don't know whether you had incidents on trains, buses. I know I have. When I was a child, I was about 10 years old, and those situations where you're so scared, you can't actually move.
It's terrifying.
You just can't move.
Yeah.
You're paralysed. Yeah. You're just and you know that it's wrong, but you can't scream, you can't stand up. And as that person said, where are you meant to go? You're stuck on a train or a bus. You're trapped. Yeah, so what do you think about women-only carriages?
I think it would be absolutely amazing. And that as a platform of a celebrity, I would definitely vouch for pushing that forward, because from my policing standpoint, we have an Operation Reframe which was rolled out a few years ago specifically for the safety of women on the streets. And the idea that you're leaving your workplace and taking a journey home, you're off the street, so you should be safer, but now you're in a carriage with people that might been out late drinking or something, and you're feeling terribly vulnerable, and you're on the phone because you're speaking to your husband who says, "Stay on the phone, I'll meet you at the station when you get off the other end," and you're in this constant fear of not catching eye contact with anybody. You don't want to give the wrong impression. It's a terrifying place to be able to have there was a carriage once before to be able to smoke. And those that didn't wish to smoke. So why can't there simply be someone on the platform that direct people to the last carriage or the first carriage, so it's quite easy to be directed to, where if you feel vulnerable and you're a female or with children particularly, that there's a safer place for you to be and take that journey.
Jeremy, what do you think?
Well, I'm afraid I'm not with it. I understand your point of view, but as a man, I feel embarrassed, and I feel that we are given a bit of short shrift in that I've many times stood up for women in these situations. I've been harassed myself, and I think that maybe sometimes it's good to have a guy around. And I'm going to say this, it's a horrible thing to say, but if you are that kind of individual and you know there's a carriage full of women, there's no blokes in there, and then the train's in between stations, you can probably get away with a lot more. Do you see what I'm saying?
You make a beeline for the women-only carriage.
How would you get in there, though?
Well, I presume you can still go from...
That wouldn't be the case, would it? They would.
Oh, are you saying that? Okay, well, in that case, I misunderstood. I've completely misunderstood. So you can't go from... once you're in that carriage, you can't
That's
then...
why it would be the end carriage.
Okay.
One of the end carriages.
Because that was my concern.
They would find it irresistible.
Yeah, kind of. But
if you had evil intent, you wouldn't. I also think if you were in a female-only carriage and a man tried to gain entry to the carriage, all the women...
They would be rugby.
Don't you think so? Would band together because you'd feel this strength.
You've got to wear a coat. If you're
I don't think you would
out going to a party and all the rest of it, you need to have a coat when you get...
But the main fix is, let's be honest, is because
otherwise you look like...
They need to bring back more guards. It's a simple fact.
But there are no guards.
That's what I'm saying, because they keep cutting and cutting, even though the profits are going up. They keep cutting and cutting. And the fact is, we used to have more guards looking after our safety, and the people, they're getting stretched. That's where it really comes down to. That's why the abuse has gone up, because there's nobody there to protect them.
Let's go to Dennis in Portsmouth. Dennis, what do you think? Women-only carriages, does that make sense, or you think it would be difficult to do?
Very difficult to do. I think it'd be too impractical.
Why is it so
quite
difficult?
Honestly. I'm sorry.
Why is it difficult? What's so difficult about it?
Just get a seat.
Well, I'm partly disabled. I need help on the trains myself. I'm vulnerable for ages, I suppose.
Yes.
But I don't always get the help I need, or want.
Yes.
And I just think it's too impractical. It's I think it's a risk women have to take on the trains and buses. I'm afraid, and it's up for us men to be on the lookout for this thing all the time.
I mean, when you say it's a risk women have to take, I mean,
That's
it's a risk.
awful.
It shouldn't be a risk to our safety and our personal privacy and our autonomy over our own bodies that we go on a bus or a tube or a train, Dennis, surely.
No, I'm not. I don't think it's a terrible thing to say at all.
I didn't say it was terrible, but I said it's pretty terrible if it's a risk that we have to take every time we use public transport.
Well, I take a risk every time I get on the train, I'm vulnerable myself as an old person.
I'm sure you do, and I'm sure that's absolutely true. And I wish there were more people to help you and, take care of you and get you on and off the train.
We could do an old age pensioner carriage as well.
Maybe we should. Maybe we should.
Have to
Thank you,
decide where
Dennis,
to
very
go.
much indeed. Let's go to Jean in Essex. Jean, would you like to see women-only carriages?
Well, Vanessa, I'm old enough to remember in the days of steam when we had corridor trains, there were women only. They were called ladies only carriages, and there was never a problem.
Go.
And you also had first, second, and third class carriages as well.
Jean, if you don't mind my asking this terrible question, I'd like to know, how old are you and what sort of year are we talking about here?
Well, I was born in 1940.
Right.
And so all we had were steam trains, and you had corridors on the train, so you could move along the train to whichever carriage you wanted. But on the outside of the train, there was ladies only, and nobody bothered. It was a given. Mm-hmm. So nobody made a fuss, and if you wanted to go into the ladies only carriage, that's what you did, and there was never any fuss about it.
And do you think, Jean, do you think it's time to revive that? Do you think that Penn is correct? It would make women much safer. It would say, I'm a woman, I'm in that carriage.
Well, I do, because just recently there have been a lot of women apparently have been, sexually assaulted on a train, and they're trapped. Yeah. I mean, if you haven't got a train manager, or years ago, you could pull a communication cord and the train would have to stop. Yeah. But I don't know whether you can do that now. But we used to have a ladies-only carriage, and there was never a problem. Yeah.
Jean, I appreciate the call and thanks for the memory, as they say. Let's talk to Anita in Surrey. How about you, Anita? You recall the same thing?
Yes, I do. I was a working mum in the late 50s and early 60s, and I was working in the city and part-time, and I caught a train at 3 o'clock-ish, just after 3, where there were very few people and very few women travelling at that time, from London Bridge to Croydon. And the last train, it was not a through carriage. In those days, you didn't have all that many through carriages. And the last carriage at London Bridge was always ladies only. And I usually was on my own in there, and I felt very safe. So I've been watching this program at lunchtime, and today every time I thought, haven't they done their research about reviving an old system? And today I thought, now be brave, ring her up, ring Vanessa up. And here I am.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad you have done this, Anita. But tell me, did you have to be really brave to do it? While you're speaking, you're just brilliant.
Well, I am 94 at the end of the month. Nothing else can go really wrong, all right?
Take a risk at 94. Listen, I'm here every day. You phone me whenever you want, Anita. You don't have to, screw your courage to the sticking place, as Lady Macbeth said. Just phone me whenever you fancy and tell me everything. I'd love to talk to you anytime. You were fantastic. Great caller. Thank you so much. Delighted that you rang. And anyone else who thinks, oh, gosh, I don't dare phone, I'm shy, I'm scared. It's only a conversation. And also, you're only giving me your view. You can't get your own view wrong. We may not agree with you, but it's really great to hear it anyway. Anyone who fancies calling, just call. It's good fun, isn't it? It's always good fun joining in.